श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृष्णभानु सुतदेवे प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna everyone. So I'll just share my screen. Okay, is my screen visible now?
Yes.
Okay, so this is Canto 9th of Srimad Bhagavatam, Chapter 10, the pastimes of Lord Ramchandra, and this is the 8th verse. So let's recite this verse. You can repeat after me. यह सत्यपाश परिवितापितुर निदेशम
या शत्ते पाश परिविता पितु निदेशम
स्त्रैनस्य चापि शिरिषा जगृहे सभार्यः
श्रेणिश्च चापि शिरश जग्रहे शवर्या
राज्यं श्रियं प्राणायेनाः सुरदो निवासम्
राज्यं श्रियं प्रणयना शूद्र निवासम
त्यक्त्वा ययौवनम् असून इव मुक्तसङ्गै
त्यक्त्वा ययो वनम अशुन इव मुक्त संगाये
यः सत्यपाश परिवितापितुर्निदेशम्
या शत्य पाश परिविता पितु निदेशम
स्त्रैणस्य चापि शिरिषा जगृहे सभार्यः
श्रेणिश्च चापि शिरश जग्रहे शवर्या
राज्यं श्रियं प्राणियनः सुरदो निवासम्
राज्यं श्रियं प्राणिनया शूद्रो निहाशम्
त्यक्त्वा ययौवनम् असून इव मुक्तसङ्गः
त्यक्त्वा ययो वनम् अशुनिव मुक्त संगाय
यः सत्यपाश परिवितापितुर्निदेशम्
या शत्य पाश परिवित पितुर्निदेशम्
स्त्रैणस्य चापि शिरसा जगृहे सभार्यः
श्रेणस्य चापि शिरश जग्रहे शबरः
राज्यं श्रियं प्राणिनः सुरदो निवासम्
राज्यं श्रियं प्राणेनया शूद्रो निवासम्
त्यक्त्वा ययौवनमसून इव मुक्तसङ्गः
त्यक्त्वा ययो वनम् अशुनिव मुक्त संगाय.
Okay, anyone else would like to recite?
यः सत्यपाश परिवित्तपितुर्निदेशम्
यः सत्यपाश परिवितापितुर्निदेशम्
स्त्रैणस्य चापि शिरिषा जगृहे शवर्यः
स्त्रैणस्य चापि शिरसा जगृहे सभार्यः
राज्यं श्रियं प्रणयिनः सुहृदो निवासम्
राज्यं श्रियं प्रणयिनः सुरदो निवासम्
त्यक्त्वा ययौ वनम् अशुन इव मुक्तसङ्गः
त्यक्त्वा ययौवनमसून इव मुक्तसङ्गः
यः सत्यपाश परिविता पितुर्निदेशम्
यः सत्यपाश परिवितापितुर्निदेशम्
स्त्रैणस्य चापि शिरसा जग्रहे सभार्यः
स्त्रैणस्य चापि शिरसा जगृहे सभार्यः
राज्यं श्रियं प्रणयिनः सुरधो निवासम्
राज्यं श्रियं प्रणयिनः सुरदो निवासम्
त्यक्त्वा यौवनम् असून इव मुक्तसङ्गः
त्यक्त्वा यौवनमसून इव मुक्तसङ्गः
या सत्यपाश परिविता पितु निर्देशम्
यः सत्यपाश परिवितापितो निदेशम्
निदेशम्
स्त्रैणस्य चापि शिरसा जाग्रहे सा भार्या
त्रैणस्य
त्रैणस्य
चापि
चापि
शिरसा
शिरसा
जग्रहे
जग्रहे
सभार्यः
सभार्यः
राज्यं श्रियं प्रणयेन सुहृदो निवासम्
राज्यं
राज्यं
श्रियं
श्रियं
प्रणयिनः
प्रणयः
सुरतो
सुरतो
निवासम्
निवासम्
त्यक्त्वा ययो वनं सुनीव मुक्तसङ्गः
त्यक्त्वा
त्यक्त्वा
ययौ वनमसुनिव
ययौवनमसुनिव
मुक्तसङ्गः.
मुक्तसङ्गः.
Even else? Okay, let's recite the synonyms. Yah,
यः
Lord Ramchandra who,
Lord
Lord
Ramchandra
Ramachandra
who
who
Satyapash Parivitapitu,
Satya
Satyapasha
Pasha Purivita
Parivitapitu
Pitu
of his father who was bound by the promise to his wife,
of his father who was bound by the promise to his wife.
Nidesham,
Nidesham,
Nidesham
the order,
the order.
Strenasya,
Srenasya,
Stranasya
of the father who was very much attached to his wife,
of the
of the
father who was very
father who
much
was very
attached to
much
his wife.
attached to his wife.
Cha,
Cha,
also,
also.
Api,
Api,
indeed,
indeed.
Shirisa,
Sirasha,
on his head,
on his head.
Jagrahe,
Jagrahe
Jagrahe,
accepted,
accepted.
Sabharyaha,
Sabharya,
with his wife,
with
with his wife.
Rajyam,
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 the kingdom,
the
the
kingdom,
kingdom.
Shriyam,
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 opulence,
opulence.
Pranayinaha,
Pranayana,
relatives,
relatives,
relatives.
Suradaha,
Suradaha,
Shudna,
friends,
friends,
friends.
Nivasam,
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 residence,
resident,
residence.
Tyaktva,
Tyaktva,
Taktva,
giving up,
giving
giving
up,
up.
Yayau,
Yaya,
Yaya,
went,
went.
Vanam,
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 to the forest,
to the
to the
forest,
forest.
Asun,
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 life,
life,
life.
Iva,
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 like,
like,
Mukta Sangaha,
Mukta
Mukta
Sangaha,
Sangaha,
a liberated soul.
a
a
liberated
liberated
soul.
soul.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Carrying out the order of his father, who was bound by a promise to his wife, Lord Ramchandra left behind his kingdom, opulence, friends, well-wishers, residence, and everything else, just as a liberated soul gives up his life and went to the forest with Sita. Purport: Maharaj Dashrath had 3 wives. One of them, Kaikeyi, served him very pleasingly, and he therefore wanted to give her a benediction. Kaikeyi, however, said that she would ask for the benediction when it was necessary. At the time of the coronation of Prince Ramachandra, Kaikeyi requested her husband to enthrone her son Bharat and send Ramchandra to the forest. Maharaj Dashrath, being bound by his promise, ordered Ramchandra to go to the forest according to the dictation of his beloved. And the Lord, as an obedient son, accepted the order immediately. He left everything without hesitation, just as a liberated soul or a great yogi gives up his life without material attraction. नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनी इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे. Read the translation one more time. Carrying out the order of his father, who was bound by a promise to his wife, Lord Ramchandra left behind his kingdom, opulence, friends, well-wishers, residents, and everything else, just as a liberated soul gives up his life and went to the forest with Sita. So this is the season of Ramayana. It started with the Ram Navami, which was on 21st of April. And many of you would know that after that, we had the appearance of Lord Hanuman. That was, I believe, if I'm not wrong, April 27th was the appearance of Lord Hanuman. And now later this week is another very special occasion. It is an appearance day of a very special personality from Ramayana. Does anyone know what is the next coming up later this week? Don't look at the calendars.
Sita Devi.
No,
Yeah, it's the appearance of Sita Devi. Sita Navami is coming up. I believe it's on Thursday later this. So this is going to be a special, this until 25th of May. So we have appearance of Mother Sita, which is Sita Navami on Thursday. Then we have Rukmini Dwadashi that is coming up after that, 3 days, 2 days after that, 3 days. And then we have Narsingha Chaturdashi. So in a row, we are getting 3 different special days. So just a quick quiz question. So anyone knows when is Lakshman Jayanti, the appearance of Lord Lakshman?
Same as Balaram Jayanti.
Balaram Jayanti? Yeah, I mean, in
Yeah,
a way, Lakshman is Balaram, yeah. But other than that, I mean, as that we can say for Ram also. Like Krishna Jayanti, Krishna Janmashtami is Lord Ram's appearance. Okay, so let me not expand it. So Lakshman, Lord Ram, Bharat, Shatrughan, they all appeared at the same time, right? So it's the same. Almost, it's a little difference is there. Few muhuras here and there are there, but I think the day is the same as Lord Ramchandra. We all know that Lord Ram. So I was actually thinking one day that why do we not celebrate Lord Lakshman's appearance? And then it struck to me that actually it's the same day when Lord Ram also appeared. So I just thought I'll put a little icebreaker. So I thought that today we can talk about the glorious character of Mother Sita, who is none other than Lakshmi Devi. Of course, Radharani is the origin of all the Shakti Tattvas. She is the origin of Rukmini Devi also. She is also the origin of Mother Sita. So, but I thought we can talk a little bit about Mother Sita. So we see in the Ramayana that one of the greatest devotee of Lord Ramchandra who is celebrated is actually Lord Hanuman. And he is considered to be the greatest devotee. But actually Mother Sita, although he is the consort of Lord Ram, but she also gives us lessons in devotion. And that is the most, the glorious character of Mother Sita is manifested when she is away from Lord Ram, when she is in the captivity of Ramayana. And we can talk about it a little bit today. So Sita Devi, she was, as we all know, she did not had an ordinary birth. She was born from earth. She was the daughter of King Janaka. But both in the case of Lord Ram and even in the case of Mother Sita, their parents had to actually endeavor a lot to get them as a child. So we know that Dashrath Maharaj, to get Lord Ram and then Lakshman, Bharat and Shatrughan as their sons, he had to perform a Putra Kameshti Yagya. And so he got the instruction from Vashishta Muni. And under the guidance of Shringi Muni, he had performed a Putra Kameshti Yagya. And that's how, there is this a demigod comes out of the fire and he hands over the oblation, one of the remnants of the prasada to Dashrath Maharaj, and then he gives it to the queens, and then the queens gives birth to Ram, Lakshman, Bharat and Shatrughan. But even in the case of Janak Maharaj, he had performed severe austerities. And once when he was plowing the land, now this plowing is, we may think that, oh, he was the king. Why does he need to plow the land? It is more like a ceremonial plowing. When the season came, so the king, as we know that when the Rath Yatra used to happen, when King Prataprudra was there, so at that time, just before the Rath Yatra, Prataprudra would come and he would just ceremonially wipe the streets, as a sign of respect to Lord Jagannath. Similarly, Janaka Maharaj was ceremonially performing the plowing of the land just before the season started, just when the season started. And when he was plowing the land, the plow actually hit on a very, it was a mysterious object. It was a very hard object that it hit. And Janak Maharaj was surprised. What is this so hard that the plow has got stuck? So he got down from his, and then he ordered the soldiers to, dig out. So when they digged, so basically a beautiful box came out of the earth. And then when they opened the box, they saw a beautiful girl inside the box. So that is like the extraordinary nature of the birth of Mother Sita. So she came out of the earth. So we all know that Mother Sita is the eternal consort of Lord Ram. And when Lord Ram had appeared, she also had to appear to be with him and participate in the pastimes. So actually, when Mother Sita grew up, she was extremely virtuous. She was a queen. She was definitely a princess, and everything, every quality that the princess or a queen would have, she had that. But she was very learned also. She was, her education was very, very special. So as she grew up, when the time of the Swayamvar came, so we know that Swayamvara is the ceremony when the bridegroom is chosen for a particular bride. Now, often this Swayamvara would have, in olden times, they would have a very specific, very peculiar criteria. It's not the same criteria that is used for all the Swayamvars. So, and often what would happen is the king, in consultation with the daughter, would already decide who they want to become the bridegroom, and then accordingly they will set the criteria that they don't want anyone to they do want every prince to come and participate, but they only want some specific person to accept the hand of the princess. So they would set the criteria in such a way that only that particular person, it's only happens sometimes, not always, of course. So like that, Dashrath Maharaj chooses the criteria like that. So he had a very heavy, very powerful bow of Lord Shiva, which has passed down to him in the dynasty, through his ancestors. And this bow, so he put a criteria that whoever picks up the bow and strings the bow, not just picks it up, that person can become the husband of Mother Sita. So we know that similar criteria was put for Draupadi. Right? That was also a very special case. So what had happened in the case of Draupadi was that when the Pandavas, so Drupada was the father of Draupadi. So when Drona was inserted by Drupada, so Dronacharya had asked his students, the Pandavas, to arrest Drupada and bring them to him as a prisoner, bring him to Drona as a prisoner. So when the Pandavas had gone to fight with Drupada, so particularly Arjuna was very valiant, and he defeats Drupada. Just before that, the whole of Kaurava army was defeated, including Karna, by Drupad Maharaj. But when Pandavas alone go, and actually Arjuna alone defeats Drupada, and he was so courageous, and Drupada was struck with wonder. How could this person be so powerful? So he actually, he had a desire to have a son like Arjuna. Now, but Arjuna was already born, so he cannot have Arjuna as his son. So he decided to have Arjuna as his son-in-law. So he decided to have a daughter who could become the wife of Arjuna. So when the fire sacrifice was performed, we know that Draupadi came out of a fire sacrifice. So when the fire sacrifice was performed, there were two criteria. One was he wanted a son who could kill Drona, because Drona had arrested him, insulted him. So he had, he was feeling, he had a grudge against Drona. So he wanted a son to come who would kill Drona. But along with that, a daughter also comes, which is Draupadi, because he had a desire that he should have a daughter who can marry Arjuna. So there was this, so everyone knew that the Pandavas had been killed in the Varnavrata, in the house of flag, when it was set on fire. But then this Drupada thought that, how could my fire sacrifice go in vain? The fire sacrifice cannot go in vain. He thought that actually the Pandavas must be alive. At least Arjuna should be alive. Otherwise, the fruit of the fire sacrifice would go in vain, and that is not possible. So he sets the criteria for Draupadi such that only Arjuna can do it. And he was thinking that if the Pandavas are alive, they will come and they will be able to break this. They will be able to meet the criteria and take Draupadi as the wife of Arjuna. So of course, Arjuna comes over there in the garb of a Brahman, and then he meets the criteria. And then we all know, but sometimes some unexpected events would also take place. So Draupadi had to actually marry all the 5 Pandavas, not just Arjuna. But here we are talking about Mother Sita. So when the bow of Lord Shiva was, that was said as the criteria that, the person has to string the bow. So many warriors tried and failed, and Lord Ram, actually, he came and nonchalantly he picked up the bow, and while trying to string the bow, he breaks the bow. And when the bow is broken, everybody is so surprised. Lord Shiva's bow is not ordinary. It is a bow of God, and only a person who has God-like qualities can only pick up and string it. What to speak of breaking it? So when the criteria was met, Kitta Vaivahika Kautuka Rama. That's how Navaraman describes Sita Varmala Arpita Rama. So Sita gave the Varamala, the garland of flowers to Lord Ram, and they got married. And then they both happily went to the kingdom, Ayodhya, and they were living very happily. But then we know that there is a full conspiracy that was happening behind the scenes to exile Lord Ram, send him to forest. So what happens is, so this Kaikai, she had a desire that her son should become the king. Of course, it was not her desire, it was implanted in her mind through mantra. So originally it is said that Kaikai loved Ram more than his own mother, but her mind was polluted by mantra. So what happens is, when the desires, they often narrows our vision. We only focus on that particular thing, and then we don't we don't think of what could be the other consequence. It basically desensitizes us. Sometimes it is good to have a focus, but other times it is not very good to have that kind of narrow focus, narrow vision. So what had happened was, Kaikeyi did not expect that along with Ram, Lakshman and Sita would also go to the forest, and she definitely did not expect that Dashrath Maharaj would pass away in agony of separation from Lord Ram. So we know that on the day of coronation of Lord Ram, he was initially in the morning, he was very happy. And then Sumanta comes to call Lord Ram, and he says that your father wants to see you. So Lord Ram happily went over there. But when he came back to his own room, he was a little grave. He was calm and composed, but he was grave. And Sita immediately understood that there is something not right over there. So she asked him, what happened? Tell me. So now actually, Ram tells Sita that, I'll have to go to the forest now, but, please, you stay here and, you serve my parents and don't be resentful towards my parents, serve them as your own parents. And then there is a very special instruction, very peculiar, that Lord Ram gives to Mother Sita. He says that, in the presence of Bharata, don't glorify me. When he becomes the king, in his presence, don't glorify me. He says that kings are naturally very egoistic and they are insecure, so they don't want anyone else to be praised. So he doesn't say that Bharat is like that, but he says generally kings are like that. So don't speak my praises in his presence. So what is happening here was that there was not even a consideration from Lord Ram that Sita would actually go along with Lord Ram. So Sita was just listening. She was trying to digest what is happening, because, until the morning, it was the day when Lord Ram was to be coronated as the king of Ayodhya. And suddenly, Lord Ram is as if the all hell has broken loose. He is announcing that he is leaving for the forest for 14 years in exile. And then Mother Sita will know this exile is not ordinary actually. In the olden times, exile is just one ladder down the capital punishment. The most severe kind of punishment is capital punishment, but just below that is exile. So that is not considered an ordinary punishment. So Mother Sita was thinking, what did Lord Ram do to deserve this? Why would he be banished like this to the forest? Of course, we know what happened over there. So Mother Sita, there was not even a slight consideration from Lord Ram that Mother Sita would, go along with Lord Ram. So Mother Sita said, what are you talking about? I want to go with you. I can't live here. So Lord Ram actually at that time, he wanted to discourage Sita to come to the forest. So he starts speaking about describing the difficulties of the forest life. So he tells that actually, there is no food and sometimes even no water in the forest, and there are lions and there are snakes and there are hyenas, and on top of that, there are rakshasas, hideous looking, very deformed rakshasas who would come and they would eat the flesh of human beings. So the idea was he wanted to discourage Mother Sita from coming along with her. So we know that Lord Ram had lived in the forest earlier for a very brief period, when he had gone along with Vishwamitra, he and Lakshman, and then he had helped him to kill all the different Rakshasas over, and that is when actually he marries Mother Sita during that time. So actually Mother Sita at that time says that, whatever austerities are there, I will happily perform it. If I am there with you, all those austerities will be actually, I'll be very happy to do it. But if I am not with you, it will be the biggest austerity for me, and then I'll not be able to survive. So she says like that. And then Still Lord Ram tries to, he was adamant that you can't come with me, you have to stay here, for all good reasons. So at that time, Mother Sita, she uses her last weapon, which I kinds of works at that time. So we see that Mother Sita is actually, she is strong in her own way. Of course, she is very submissive to Lord Ram. She wants to please Lord Ram as much as possible. In many ways, Mother Sita's character is compared to Rukmini Devi. So Rukmini Devi is also very, very pleasing. She wants to please Krishna as much as possible. She doesn't want to do anything that Krishna doesn't want her to do. So she's like that. So but she's also strong in it. So sometimes modern people, especially the today's feminists, they say that this in the Ramayana all the characters are great, but the character of Sita, that is such a passive character, such a weak character. People would throw her around and she would accept everything and anything. So but actually we see that that is not true. And for these feminists, they say that Sita is definitely not the ideal woman for the modern woman. So for the modern woman, they look at Wonder Woman as their ideal. Someone who can fight along and who can throw things up and down and make things work. But we see that Mother Sita actually is strong in her own way. So strength is expressed in different ways in different circumstances. So we definitely so we know that there is this South Indian rendition of Ramayana where it is mentioned that once Mother Sita was playing in the room where this bow of Lord Shiva was kept, and while playing, she at once, what happens is she nonchalantly picks up the bow with one hand. Her, like, a ball, I believe, had gone below the table that is holding the bow, and she just nonchalantly picks up the bow. She moves the table, gets the ball out, and then she puts the bow back. And Janak Maharaj had seen this, and he was like shocked. He was thinking like, this bow is so strong, I would need hundreds of men just to move it from one place to another. And this girl, and she's not even a teenager yet, and she just nonchalantly picked up with one hand. So he thought that definitely, so he knew that the appearance of Mother Sita was very mystical. She was not an ordinary girl. So he thought that she is definitely a very special, celestial girl. So he thought that I should have a very special husband for him, someone who have power like demigods or like gods, because this bow was the bow of God, Lord Shiva. So he thought that I should set the criteria for her marriage such that only someone who has god-like powers can, meet that criteria. That's how this criteria of using the bow had come, actually. So she had immense physical power, but what happens is at times we need different kinds of strength. So at times we need strength to change the circumstances. When some adverse circumstances come, we need strength to fight and change the things, But at times there will be cases where we will not be able to change things and we will have to accept things, So we need strength to actually accept things with dignity, with grace, and with values. And that is what Mother Sita demonstrates. She does change things a lot. We'll talk about it if the time permits. But whenever when she needs to accept things, she would accept it also very gracefully. So we were talking about the last weapon that Mother Sita uses. So actually what she does is, she says she's so insistent in going with Lord Ram that she says that actually it is my misfortune that my father had married me to a man who cannot protect me in the forest. So this was like a challenge to the maliness of Lord Ram. Of course, Lord Ram understands the heart of Mother Sita. So he actually says that, oh Sita, I wanted to know that you want to come with me out of obligation, or you really want to come with me. So while speaking these words, I can see that you really want to come with me. You're not just coming out of your obligation. So he understands that the intent of Mother Sita speaking so strong words is not to challenge his manliness. Her intent is to come along with Lord Ram. So basically, then they all agree that okay, we are going, and we know that Lakshman also, Lord Lakshman also tags along. He says that I'll be there to always help you, serve you. So when they are leaving at that time, Kaikai, she's so adamant. She says that actually, if you are going as a hermit, you have to dress up like a hermit also. So she says that bring tree bark, dresses made of tree barks, and then you have to wear it. And Mother Sita is so innocent. She has been raised in royalty. She doesn't even know how to wear, these dresses made of tree barks. So, but then Mantra helps her. And then when she comes in there dressed up like a hermit in tree barks, Vashishta's heart breaks. He says, he actually starts crying. And then he tells Kaikai that, oh, Kaikai, even now your heart is not breaking. He says, just looking at this tender-bodied, sweet-hearted Sita dressed up like a hermit. And then Kaikai pays no attention to Vashishta Muni. She just walks out. So then what happens is, we know that all three, Mother Sita, Lord Ram, Lord Lakshman, they march towards the forest. So initially it was very difficult for Mother Sita to, adjust in that, she has been raised in royalty. So, if we have to move from a very big house to a small house at a small place, initially we feel a shock. And for her, it was like moving from a palace to an utter state of homelessness. And not just homelessness, she has to go to forest where it is even dangerous. Even you have to worry for your life. You're not even safe. There are so many animals, so many things that can go wrong in the forest. You have to be always on your toes to protect yourself. So we see that there is this difference between the character of Mother Sita and Draupadi also. So the similar situation comes in the life of Draupadi also, but Draupadi has a fiery nature. She even gets angry with Yudhishthir at times. When this gambling match had happened, at that time she stood by Yudhishthir. She was trying to take, but when they were alone in the forest, at that time she would even get angry and say harsh words to Yudhishthir, that how could you gamble me? And so there is this big pastime that happens over there. So actually Draupadi had come out of fire. So she has a fiery nature. But Mother Sita, she was born from earth. And earth, as we know, in the 11th canto, when the description of all the gurus come in the 11th canto, their earth is compared to a giver. So Sarva Kama Dugha. So earth is always giving. So Mother Sita also reflects that tireless, unending service attitude. So it's a very it's a strong characteristic of Mother Sita's nature that comes out. So now to what happens is, then we know Ravana actually abducts Sita. There's a big conspiracy that happens even there. And then he abducts Sita over there. And then actually it is very devastating for Sita in one way. So while they are flying off, when Ravana is flying off with Mother after abducting her, she calls for help. But Ram and Lakshman couldn't hear, because Marich had arranged in a way, he had taken Lord Ram and Lakshman so far away that even if there is some sound of some hints of any scuffle going on, Ram and Lakshman cannot hear. So what had happened before that was, when they had come to Dandakavan, Dandakaranya. So at that time, Jatayu had once met Ram, Lakshman and Sita, and then he had told Lord Ram that actually I'm a very good friend of your father Dashrath. So Lord Ram had told that, in your presence, we feel like as if we are with our father. So Jatayu always was like that father figure for Lord Ram, Lakshman and Mother Sita. So he hears, he sees, he was on a tree and he sees that actually this Ravana is kidnapping Mother Sita. So he immediately comes over there. So when he comes over there, so Mother Sita, she is very alert. She is also a Kshatriya woman, and she can actually assess the strengths of the different warriors. So she requests Jatayu to inform Ram that, I have been kidnapped by Ravan, but don't confront Ravan. He says that he is very strong. You won't be able to fight with him. So Jatayu actually feels that, I can't just, sit and watch what's happening. I have to intervene. I have to stop him. And then Jatayu actually uses all the different Sam, Dam, Danda, Bhed, as we say. He uses everything to stop Ravan. So first he argues with Ravan. So Ravana is flying off in the Pushpak Viman, and Jatayu is also flying along with. And then as they're flying, they're talking to each other. So Jatayu gives various arguments to Ravan, but Ravan doesn't listen, as we know. So at that time, Jatayu attacks on Ravan. So what happens is, Jatayu is also a very formidable warrior. He's not an ordinary. He's a, he's in the same family as uh, as the carrier of Lord Vishnu. So Garuda. So he's not an ordinary warrior, but he's very old. So what happens in old age is the competence is there, but the vigor has been lost. The energy has been lost. So when they are fighting, so he's such a formidable warrior. Initially, he actually lops off the head of Ravana. He tears off the hands, the limbs of Ravana, but they reappear because Ravana had that mystical power. So he fights very valiantly, but what happened is his speed has slowed down. So once he tries to attack Ravana, and Ravana moves back, and then he was not able to get out from there in time. And taking advantage of that, Ravana lops off the wings of Jatayu, and then Jatayu falls down. So of course, Jatayu later informs Lord Ram, and just before he leaves his body. So when Ravana is moving forward, so he is very adamant. He is very after killing, or so-called killing of Jatayu, he is even more confident. So Mother Sita actually sees down below. She sees some monkeys. So what she does is she drops some of her jewels to give them a hint. She basically wants to leave some hints for Lord Ram, so that he can ultimately find her and get her back. So of course the monkeys didn't quite understand what's happening. They see that there is a the flying airplane going, and then there is a person and a woman inside it. So the backstory that comes there is, Ravana actually had been cursed, by Nalakuvera, if I'm not wrong. So he had forcefully violated a celestial nymph called Ramba, and Ramba was the wife of Nalakuvera, I believe. And he had been cursed that if he again tries to take a woman by force, his head would break into pieces immediately. Now, of course, Ravana had got that boon that nobody can kill him, and no demigod can kill him. But a demigod killing is different than the boon, the curse of a demigod killing. So so all the strength that Ravana had, it has been due to the different benedictions given by different demigods. So he understands that behind these benedictions and these curses, there is a higher power that operates. So he, although he is apprehensive whether that curse will work, but he doesn't want to take chances. So the Ravana's plan was that he will eventually win over Mother Sita. So this is not the first time he is kidnapping a woman. Later in the Uttaramayana, we see that there is this whole pastime that comes, that when Lord Ram and Lakshman and they all are in Ayodhya, they're ruling. At that time, different stages, they come to visit. And that time, Ravana and Lord Ram and Lakshman, they wanted to know from these sages, what had Ravana done to get so much power. So that time they narrates the whole story of Ravan, how he got all his powers and how he had violated so many women, and he has performed so many atrocities. So he used to kidnap women, and initially the woman would resist, so but then when he would eventually bring them to Lanka, and Lanka is like almost impregnable. It's like an island. It's isolated from the rest of the world. And what will happen is they would eventually succumb to Ravan. So his plan was that he would eventually either win over Mother Sita by showing his opulence and his heroics, or eventually Mother Sita would succumb on her own. She would just submit to his authority. But Ravana did not anticipate the strength of the character of Mother Sita, and of course he did not anticipate the power of Lord Ram, that he could come all the way, and then fight and take and kill Ravana. He didn't certainly anticipate all of that. So after taking Mother Sita to Lanka, Ravana, what he does is he gives a guided tour of his palace to Mother Sita and all his heroics. This is where what I won. I defeated this demigod and I got this one. So his idea was that I would show that how powerful I am. Even the demigods submit to my authority. And he says that certainly Sita would submit to my authority. She would realize that Ram is no match for me. But Mother Sita, as we know, she refuses even to, she is not even listening to what he's saying, and she refuses to stay in the palace also. So then what happens is Ravana arranges for her to stay in his favorite garden, Ashok Vatika. So there, to break Mother Sita, break her resolve, he actually so he uses a strategy. So he puts some hideous looking deformed Rakshasis, who would threaten and warn Sita and harass her in different ways. And then she also keeps some good Rakshasis. Rakshas in the sense, he appoints, one is the wife of Vidura. So Vidura's wife, as we know, so not Vidura, I'm sorry, Vibhishan. Vidura is in Mahabharata. Sorry, I'm mixing up the characters. So Vibhishan's wife is Sarama. So, but now Vibhishan is another peculiar character in Ramayana. He is out of place. He is the most saintly person in Lanka. There is no one actually, no saint at all. But so Vibhishan is like completely out of the place, and his wife also is quite saintly lady. So Ravana's plan is that this Sarama would coax her and tell her very nicely that you should submit to Ravana. But so along with Sarama, there is another saintly, so-called saintly Rakshasi, I think Trijata. So they both become friends with Sita, and they actually give strength to Sita to fight off Ravana. So so it is like this. Okay, I'll just move a little fast now. We don't have much time left. So Sita would actually get strength from these two people, and besides that, there are many other Rakshas who would harass her. So it took a very, very long time for Lord Ram to come to Mother Sita actually. So so this Lanka was not an ordinary place; it was an island. It was virtually impossible to come to an island at that time. Nobody could have even thought of coming to all the way in the middle of the ocean and getting Mother Sita. So Ravana had given 1 year time to Mother Sita to submit. He said that if I am not able to enjoy you carnally, then I will enjoy you for my breakfast. Either way, I'm going to enjoy you. I'll give you 1 year. If you don't submit to me, then I'm going to cook you up and eat you for my breakfast. You said small. Your body is so tender and small that you would only be good enough for my breakfast, not even for lunch. So he had threatened like that. So now here, when Lord Ram was searching for Mother Sita, he didn't know where to go actually. So he had met Kabandha, and Kabandha had told him to go to Sugriva. So, and then we know the whole pastime that comes over there, the killing of Vali that happens. And when everything that settles down in Kishkinda, and when they think that, okay, now we should be able to go and using Sugriva's help, we'll be able to find Mother Sita. But then eventually what happens is there severe rain starts over there. Now we may think that, Lord Ram is so powerful, so strong. Why would he wait for rains to subside? But they were not ordinary rains. Now this Vali, who was killed by Lord Ram, he was the son of Indra. And Indra, when his son was killed, he had become angry. And then he actually arranged for very specially fierce rains, so it was so strong that these Vanaras, they couldn't do anything, for 4 months. And after 4 months, the rain had actually subsided. And then Sugriva immediately, jump into action, and then he gives a time period of 1 month to the Vanaras to find Mother Sita. And then he basically sends 4 teams in 4 different directions. But Lord Ram had a lot of hopes from the team that was going towards south. So in the team that was going towards south was very strong. There was Hanuman there, Jamwant was there, Angad was there. Just because, Ravana was seen going towards south. So he had hopes that, this team can get some whereabouts about Mother Sita. And this team also, after searching for so long, they had almost lost hope until they meet Sampati. So Sampati was the brother of Jatayu, and then he actually gives some clues about Mother Sita, and then we know that Lord Hanuman immediately goes and he crosses the ocean. Now, but during all this time, Sita had absolutely no news of Ram. She didn't even knew that is Ram is trying to find me, or how is he, or absolutely nothing. No news at all. So we all also, as human beings, we are all social creatures. We need friends, we need our well-wishers to be, to be happy. And for Mother Sita, she was born in royalty. She always had her parents around, her well-wishers, her maid servants, her sisters, and even when she was married, she had Lord Ram. But now when she was in Lanka, she was utterly alone. She was surrounded by these deformed Rakshasas who were threatening to kill her, and when Ravana would come every day and threaten her and try to woo her and coax her. So it was easy for her to lose hope. But her devotion was so strong that she actually did not lose hope. So we, at times we become a little discouraged in our endeavors. So what happens is, we need a strong purpose in our life. Even if we get some setbacks while trying to fulfill that purpose, we don't mind it so much. So Mother Sita, she wanted to be with Lord Ram, and in order to be with Ram, she had accepted the great austerity to live in the forest. But now even that thing, that hope, that purpose for which she had accepted the great austerities, even that purpose is lost. She did not even had the company of Lord Ram. So it was very easy, in one way. And then for all practical purposes, we can say that, okay, Lord Ram was cheated or whatever, but Lord Ram had, at least at that time, he had failed to protect Mother Sita, and she had been kidnapped. So it would have been easy for her to just give up hope and submit to Ravana, but she did not. Her devotion was so strong at that time for Lord Ram. So this is the lesson that she gives us, that, and of course we know that there is this viraha ras is there. Even the gopis had, so much love and devotion for Krishna, that even in separation from Krishna, they would always think about Krishna. There is a beautiful verse that comes in Padyavali. Padyavali is a composition of verses done by Rupa Goswami. So there is a verse that comes where Radharani is saying that, "Oh Krishna, in union with you and in with separation view, I prefer actually separation from you, because when I'm separate from you, I can see you everywhere. When in union, I can see you only at one place. But in separation, I can see you everywhere. You fill my world, So now Padyavali is a composition of verses, and most of the, the source is not known. But of course, when Rupa Goswami is quoting, definitely it would have some, strong source to bring it from. So Mother Sita's devotion is like that, it's so strong. She doesn't lose that devotion, that faith in Lord Ram. She knew that Lord Ram would come. So, and Ravana had actually offered all kinds of allurements. He had told her that I would make you my chief queen, and she did not even consider it. Forget about, listening. She didn't even thought about it, that I can become the chief queen. And Ravana would go every single day to threaten her, woo her, coax her. Every day when he will wake up, the first thing that will come to his mind is Sita. How can I make Sita to submit to me? And Ravana was such a great trickster. Once, just before the battle was about to be fought, what he did is, along with one of his conjurers, he had made a false head of Lord Ram, and he presented to Sita that I have killed Lord Ram, I've killed Ram. Now you should surrender to me. And Mother Sita was initially shocked, but of course later Sarama tells Sita that, don't worry, it's all false. It's a trick to trick you actually. So one day when Ravana had just come like this, he was trying to, he was on that particular day, he was very angry, and he told, I am going to destroy you if you don't surrender to me. So, and then after saying like that, he actually left from there. So suddenly after, Mother Sita was sitting very morose, and she was thinking what to do now. And then suddenly she hears a very sweet voice, and in that sweet voice, was singing the glories of Lord Ram. And she was very surprised. Who is this in Lanka who is singing the glories of Lord Ram? She was not able to figure out where this voice is coming from. And she was listening, and all the different pastimes of Lord Ram is being narrated in that sweet voice. Suddenly, when Hanuman, actually, he was on a tree, and then in the form of a very small monkey, he had sneaked inside Lanka into the Ashok Vatika, and initially he was very happy to see Mother Sita. So, but he wanted to be a little careful. He didn't want Mother Sita to raise alarm, because if other soldiers would have come over there, he wouldn't have been able to communicate with Mother Sita. So he first wanted to gain the confidence of Mother Sita before talking to her. So he actually glorifies Lord Ram, and then he jumps with folded hands like this, and then he jumps in front of Mother Sita, and Mother Sita sees a small little sweet monkey, and she's thinking, and why and how come a monkey is singing the glories of Lord Ram? And then she still has her guards, she has not let her guards down. She is still very suspicious. And Hanuman is also a great face reader. He is very wise. So he could see that Mother Sita is still not, she is very suspicious. So then he sings about some pastimes which even Lakshman didn't knew. So there were some pastimes in the forest when Mother Sita and Lord Ram were near a river. So at that time, a crow had come to attack on Mother Sita. And that time, Lord Ram had picked up a straw of grass and threw it on the crow, and the crow had fled in horror. So actually, Acharya explained that that was Indra, who had become attracted to Mother Sita, and he had come to, woo Mother Sita in the form of a crow. So Hanuman actually sings that, Lord Ram had protected from attackers who had come in even in that form. So he says that even Lord Ram will always protect Mother Sita, and no matter what, and he will even protect Mother Sita from Ravana. So when she hears it, she thinks that who is this person? And then Hanuman actually reveals the whole thing, that and then when she hears, then she breaks down and she starts crying, and she immediately asks, how is Lord Ram? Is he remembering me? Is he looking for me? Is he searching me? And then Hanuman tells everything. Of course, he also gives the signet of Lord Ram, the ring that he had given to show to Mother Sita, and that had given her more confidence in Hanuman. And then there was a very sweet discussion. It is one of the most moving conversations that happens in the Ramayana. There are many, like 3 or 4 different conversations, very moving. This is one of them. And they discuss, although they both are missing Lord Ram, they both are away from Lord Ram, but their devotion, they talk about Lord Ram. Just to talk about the object of your, of your devotion, of your love, that is also very satisfying. Matchittaha madgataha prana bodhayantaha parasparam kathayantasya mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. It is not even satisfying, it is ramanti cha. It is very gratifying in one way. So the devotees of Lord Krishna, of Lord Ram, it is very gratifying for them to talk about the glories, the katha, matchitta madgata prana bodhayanta parasma kathayantasya mam nityam, the katha. So they always want to do katha of my katha, Krishna's katha, Ram katha. So then Mother Sita tells that, Ravana had given me 12 months and 10 months are already over, only 2 months remaining. So Hanuman tells that, okay, you come with me, I'll carry you. And then Mother Sita thinks, you are such a small little sweet monkey, how would you be able to carry me? So Hanuman at that time, he thinks, my strength is being challenged. So he starts growing up, he starts expanding his body. He grows and grows, and then he becomes taller than the tallest tree over there. And then he tells Mother, now you can come with me. So Mother Sita says, okay, it's very good that you can expand to such a size, but actually I don't want to come with you. So she says that by kidnapping me, Ravana had challenged the honor of Lord Ram. So let him come and restore his honor. And then he also says that I don't want to be touched by another man. So that is one other reason. And Hanuman understands the emotion, and then he says, okay, don't worry, Lord Ram will come immediately as soon as he gets this message. And then Hanuman actually is a little not very happy with the treatment given by Ravana to Sita. So he wants to teach a lesson to Ravana. So he starts destroying this Ashok Vatika, and Ashok Vatika soon becomes Shok Vatika. He kills many generals of Ravana. He also kills one of his sons, and then Ravana is alarmed, and then somehow they are able to arrest Hanuman. Hanuman actually himself gets arrested. He wants to see the power of Ravana, and he also wants to give that warning to Ravana. So then Mother Sita comes to know that Hanuman has been arrested. So she actually prays, and she knows that, okay, now his tail is going to be burnt. So when she hears it, she actually prays to Agni. And then she said that if I have done any austerity, if I have done any pious activities, please don't burn the tail of Hanuman. And Hanuman is actually, he is ready to bear the pain. But when the fire is put to his tail, he was amazed. He says he doesn't feel any pain at all, and it actually is, the light is coming out there, but it's not burning as such his body parts are not turning to ashes. And then we know that Hanuman actually half of the city he burns down. So he also realizes actually that it is the mercy of Mother Sita, that my tail is not actually getting burnt. So after doing this heroic devastation, he departs from Lanka. And then, so the point is that we don't have much time now, but Mother Sita's character in separation from Lord Ram is so strong. She gives us lessons, of devotions, how to be strong in devotion to Lord Ram, to Lord Krishna. So Ramayana is definitely a historical book, but along with that, it is also an eternal book that gives us eternal values. Govind Acharya, he is one of the one of the Vaishnavacharyas who appeared in the Sri Sampradaya. So he gives a metaphor to explain Ramayana. So he says that actually Sita is like our soul, and Ravana is like our mind. And then he says this body is like Lanka. So as long as we are with Ram, we are happy. But so as soon as the soul wants to, he turns away from Ram. So Krishna Bhahirmukha Jiva Bhogamancha Kare Nikataya Mayatare Jhapatiya Dhare. So Mother Sita was with Lord Ram, but she wanted to get this deer, and then when she wanted to get this deer, she sends Lord Ram away. And at that time, Ravana, who is like our mind, he catches hold of Sita and then he traps her. So the mind actually cannot, it cannot touch the soul. No, it can trap the soul, it cannot touch. The soul is always pure. So what Mother Sita does is, she never submits to any of the proposals of Ravana. Similarly, the soul, if it the mind proposes many different sinful things to the soul, but the soul has the power to deny it. And if we are able to do that, then Lord Ram will definitely come, and then he will take us out of the entrapment of this body. Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita 12.9, 12.8, if I'm not wrong, Tesham aham samudharta mrityu samsara sagarat bhavami na chirat partha Maya avashita chetasam bhavami na chirat partha. Very quickly I deliver from this. So if our consciousness is invested in Krishna, Krishna will definitely come, and very quickly he can deliver us from this material world. So I just stop here. We just have 2 minutes. If there are any, like, one question or any particular comment or any correction that anyone would like to mention.
Very nicely narrated, Ganapati Govind. I was enraptured by your narration. Really nice. Just one question. That Sita's wedding was one of our favorite movies when my daughter was growing up. I've tried to track it like in so many places and I can't find it. Of course, I have the VHS old copy. If you can track it down, I'd give you whatever price you ask for it.
10 Bhagavatam sets. Sure, Mataji, I try to find.
And it was actually done in England. So even when I was in England, I tried to find it, and then I could not find a copy like on a DVD.
Oh, this is our ISKCON movie, you mean? Sita's wedding?
ISKCON movie, yeah, Sita's
okay.
wedding.
Okay,
it was actually done in England, I think. Yeah, I have the VHS copy, but of course now who plays VHS? I wanted it for my grandchildren.
I have a DVD version. I have a DVD at home.
You do? Where did you get it, Malta Priya? Yeah. Well, I don't want to waste anybody's time.
ISKCON, there's 12 DVDs they sell.
Well,
like
I
that.
couldn't find it, but Ganapati Govind, our book distributor, should be able to track it down.
10 Bhagavatams already, Maltipriya Mataji is going to give us. So you should give us 10 Bhagavatams, Mataji. Okay, I think you can stop here. Shri Ramchandra ki jai.
Jai ho. Very nice.
Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Very nice narration. Thank you.
Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maharani ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha
mentally है
Ashata Deshatarine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Ashata Deshatarine Kibo Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Arati Kusho Kibo Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Arati Kusho Janavi Patavani Jagamanana Gaurange Arati Shobha Jada Janamana Loba Gaurange Arati Shobha Jada Janamana Loba Gaurange Arati Shobha Jada Janamana Loba Gaurange Arati Shobha Jada Gaurange Arati Shobha Jada Janamana Loba Gaurange Arati Shobha Jada Janamana Loba Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura, Hari Bol. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Shri Krishna Chaitanya Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Krishna Chaitanya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhattacharya Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhattacharya Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabrajakacharya Jasa Shri Srimad is Divine Grace Srila Bhai Charanavinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabrajakacharya Jasa Tarasata Shri Srimad is Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vinda ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vinda ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki Jai Vrindavan Dham ki Jai Mayapur Dham ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dham ki Jai Ganga Mai ki Jai Jamuna Mai ki Jai Bhakti Devi ki Jai Shrimati Tulsi Maharani ki Jai Lord Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra Devi ki Jai, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki Jai, Lord Nrsimhadeva ki jai, Shri Shalakram Shilas ki jai, Shri Giriraj Maharaj ki jai, Samaveta Bhaktavinda ki jai, Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Namaste.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Prahlad Ladadayine. Hiranyakashipurvakshaha. Shilakankanakalaye. Ito Narsimha Parato Narsimha. Yato yato yami tato Narsimha. Vahe Narsimha Hridaye Narsimha. Narsimha Madhim Sharanam Prapade. Tav kar kamal vare nakham adbhut shringam dalita hiranyakashipu tanu bhringam keshavadhita narhari rupa jagadish hare jaya jagadish hare jaya jagadish hare. Jaya Narsimhadev, Jaya Narsimhadev, Jaya Narsimhadev, Jaya Narsimhadev. Jaya Bhakta Prahlad, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Bhakta Prahlad, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. विघ्न विनाशक श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिंह भगवान की, प्रहलाद महाराज की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us for our Sunday program this afternoon. We have 3 free sponsors today. Hari Bol. Tirthapad Madhav Prabhuji, Madhubhashini Madhavi Mataji and family are sponsoring for Kirti Shree's 12th birthday. Hari Hari Bol. Tanmay Prabhuji is sponsoring for the spiritual benefit of Nilay Upadhyay. Hari Hari Bol. Nikunja Sitarani Mataji, Abhiram Vidya Prabhuji are sponsoring for Mataji's grandmother Omvati Agarwal, who passed away last month. Hari Bol. So if anyone is interested in sponsoring, you can be one of our Sunday program sponsors for only $125. And for that, you may contact His Grace Pyare Mohan Prabhuji or Her Grace Jiva Mataji at our temple phone number that is displayed on your screen, which is 860-289-7252. We have a very eventful couple of weeks coming up. As Ganapati Govind Prabhu was mentioning, we have Sita Navami coming up this Thursday. We don't have a separate special program, but devotees can always remember the glories of Sita Devi along with Lord Ram and read through our transcendental literature that talks about their glorification. And we also have Ekadashi coming up on Saturday, May 22nd. Hari Bol! And it is a day on which it is recommended for us devotees to fast from grains, beans, peas, legumes, engage in more chanting more rounds of the Maha Mantra, and reading more of Srila Prabhupada's books. And fast break is the day after, that is May 23rd, which is Sunday. And we are going to have our Ekadashi Bhajan Kirtan Seva on the evening of May 22nd between 6 and 7 p.m. And Sunday, we also have another big celebration coming up. This is one of our biggest festivals, Narsimha Chaturdasi. Hari Hari Bol! We're going to have double celebrations. So Sunday, we're going to celebrate as part of our regular Sunday program. That's May 23rd. We're going to start at around 3:45 p.m. We're going to have Narsimha Katha, Arati, Narsimha Kavacha recitation, dramatized reading, and we're going to also have another celebration on the actual day of Narsimha Chaturdasi, which is Tuesday, May 25th, and we are going to start at 6 p.m. And it is recommended for those of us who can to fast till dusk on Narsimha Chaturdasi. On Tuesday, we're going to have, again, a lot of eventful celebrations. We're going to have Narsimha Katha, Arati, Abhishek, and we're going to recite Lord Narasimhadev's 100 names. Both of these celebrations are going to be both in person as well as you can participate virtually. You can participate virtually through our regular ISKCON of Connecticut Temple Zoom. The details are displayed on your screen. And you can also attend our Glastonbury Temple at 14 Norfolk Avenue. For that, remember that you must be at least 16 years old. All attending should wear masks at all times and must not have fever on that day. So we are going to take your temperatures and then allow you in. You can be one of the sponsors for only $125. Anyone who is sponsoring is actually going to sponsor for both the celebrations, both on Sunday as well as on Tuesday. And this is the most opportune time that we seek shelter of Narasimhadev, considering the current situation of the world, and definitely Narasimhadev, being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, will definitely be protecting us. Narasimhadev Bhagwan ki jai. So I'll just reiterate a couple of our book promotions. This year being Srila Prabhupada's 125th anniversary. Srila Prabhupada Lilamrit is available with ISKCON of Connecticut for only $55. It's a 7-volume set, and we seek all devotees' help in distributing as many Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita as much as possible. Srila Prabhupada's appearance day is on August 31st, the day after Janmashtami, and Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita is available with ISKCON of Connecticut in English only. You can purchase a set for yourself. You can gift at least one or more sets to your friends and family. You can sponsor a set. You can give us reference of at least 5 of your friends, acquaintances who may be interested in receiving Srila Prabhupada Lilamrit. And if you think of any other ways, please come forward and let us know. And you can contact our temple phone number if you're interested, or you can reach out to Ganapati Govind Prabhu as well. Talking about book promotions, Bhadra Purnima is September 20th this year, and we have the Bhadra campaign already announced for this year. So it is said that if on the full moon day of the month of Bhadra one places Srimad Bhagavatam on a golden throne and gives it as a gift, he will attain the supreme transcendental destination. And this is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam itself, 12:13-30. Again, at ISKCON of Connecticut, we have the 18-volume sets available only for $250. It is available in English and multiple other languages, including Spanish and other regional Indian languages. We are targeting to distribute as many Srimad Bhagavatam sets as possible. In fact, worldwide, ISKCON has pledged to distribute 25,000 Srimad Bhagavatam sets, and we, as part of ISKCON of Connecticut, are endeavoring to share a small part of that responsibility by distributing at least 75 sets. We are looking at distributing in a lot of libraries in and around Connecticut. There are more than 200 libraries here. So we request all devotees to, again, if you want, you can purchase a set for yourself, get a set for your friends and family and gift them, and you can sponsor, and we can distribute Srimad Bhagavatam sets on your behalf. You can also share references of people who might be interested in receiving Srimad Bhagavatam or sponsoring for Srimad Bhagavatam. And if there are any other ways you may help us, please let us know. Again, you can contact Ganapati Govind Prabhuji or reach out to us at our temple phone number. You can find all of our online programs on the ISKCON of Connecticut website. Here's a quick snapshot of that is displayed on your screen. The participation details are our temple Zoom, the standard temple Zoom. So, please feel free to attend. We have very exciting conversations from our transcendental literatures. In case you are missing out in any of these classes, in any of these programs, please make every endeavor to join us. And with that, we will now move over to chanting for our sponsors. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, beautiful kirtan, Kirti.
Thank you, Mataji.
Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Our sponsors and beneficiaries ki jai. Omvati Agarwal Mataji Spiritual Journey ki jai. Nikunja Sitarani Mataji, Abhiram Divya Prabhuji and family ki jai. Nilay Upadhyay ki jai. Tanmay Prabhuji ki jai. Tirthapad Madhav Prabhuji, Madhuvashini Madhavi Mataji and family ki jai. Kirti Shri ki jai. So since it is Kirti Shri's birthday, it's also Tanmay Prabhuji's birthday. So can we have the birthday song? Do we have our ISKCON of Connecticut band of boys? Nandagopal Prabhuji, Pranam Govind Prabhuji.
Ready to go.
Hare Krishna to you.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
dear
Krishna
Shri. Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
to
to you.
you. May you
Never
take
take
birth
birth
again. May you never take birth again. May you never take birth again. Go back, go back to Godhead. Go back,
Back
go
to
back to
Godhead.
Godhead. Go back,
Back
go
to
back to
Godhead.
Jai.
Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa sindhu bhayesya Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you all, Vaishnava. Thank you so much.
Hari Bol, happy Krishna conscious birthday to Kirti Shri and Tanmay Prabhuji. Hari Hari Bol.
Mataji ki birthday. Today is Bhakti Leela Mataji's birthday. Hari
Hari Bol. Bhakti Leela Mataji.
Is she on the
Jai.
call?
Hari Hari Bol. Thank you for adding the Janwani Mataji.
Oh, thank you.
Hari Bol. Thank you, Janak Prabhuji. So with that, we are at the concluding stage of our program for today. Thank you, Pyari Mohan Prabhuji and Jira Mataji for the close-up darshan. And thank you very much, everybody, for joining us for our Sunday program this afternoon. We hope that you will join us in our upcoming seva as well. Thank you very much. Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Krishna.